setup here in this first round. It is Ida Zetterstrom on the left-hand side of your screen, the JCM Racing Dodge VP Racing Fuels Leatherwood Top Fueler, and the two-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion, Brittany Force, and the HendrickCars.com dragster. The fastest dragster in history, the only car that's ever run faster than 340, and she is looking to go into round number 2. George, what you got on Brittany?
Well, speaking of that 340 miles per hour, that's the 4th time she's done it this year in qualifying. And I asked her about it this morning. She said, look, that's never our goal. Our goal is to turn on win lights with consistency. But in my opinion, Brian and Tony, the weather conditions are right. She can run 340 right here.
As we mentioned, Brittany, a two-time NHRA World Champion. Ida Zetterstrom across the racetrack, the 2023 FIA European Drag Racing Top Fuel Champion. She has run a handful of races. She is growing her Top Fuel presence here in the United States, but she's got a big order here, Tony.
She does, and these are conditions that might favor Brittany Force. For Ida, they need to start by giving her a good car, a better car than she had in qualifying, and she needs to do her job off the starting line.
Qualifying was the 4 probably best reaction times in a row we've seen of Ida, but now the pressure is on. It's eliminations. And Brittany Force is ripping 340 again. She just keeps reeling them off. 369.6, 340.82 miles an hour. It is one thing to see it happen once, but when they start doing this with regularity, it is unbelievable.
You know, and it's just the way the tuner runs the car. Some of these cars, it's hard to tell unless we had a ghost that we could show you and illustrate. Some cars just accelerate better early in the run at mid-track. For Brittany Force in this car, it's not necessarily much slower, but it is behind about 2 to 300ths of a second, but it really makes a big charge from the 8th mile to the finish line. They're already traveling 297 miles per hour at the 8th mile. That's just 660 feet. From the 8th mile, there's 330. There's the speed block. Boom, there's 660 feet. From there to the finish line is where this car really makes up a lot of speed.
We talk about dominating performances like Brittany's in the Northwest, but there is a man who passed recently named Jerry Ruth. He was known as the King. In fact, it was the King of the... And she is with Bruno.
Brittany Force doing what she do, and that is go 340, putting up the big numbers. The 369 on the front side of that obviously is huge for you guys, gives you lane choice against Antron Brown in the next round. Is today the day we raise another Wally?
That's our plan. That is our goal when we came into this race, and we're putting 340s on the board. That's awesome for HendrickCars.com and all the fans that are here in Seattle this weekend, but we want 3 more win lights. That's our main focus right now.
As she was chatting with Bruno, the car went back to the pit area. The crew descended upon it and began the all-important, what we call in drag racing, the turnaround, effectively rebuilding the entire engine, servicing that clutch unit behind the engine, and it is mechanical ballet.
And of course, Brittany Force, she prefers the enclosed cockpit. It's a matter of preference for the driver's safety. No aerodynamic advantage, but you can clearly see that every person on this crew has a different job title responsibility. You have someone underneath that engine that's already removed the oil pan, inspecting, removing connecting rods. The cylinder heads are coming off. Somebody unwrapping the parachutes off of that wing. Those will be repacked, but this car will be turned around within 35 minutes.
Her team, Brittany Force's team, is in the completion phase of the turnaround. You can see the oil going into the valley of the engine where the lifters are there. The cylinder heads have been bolted on. And once all that dinosaur sauce goes in there, their intake manifold and supercharger are not soon to be followed.
It's a real thick, dense 70 weight grade oil, so it's much easier to pour it in to that part of the engine before they put that intake manifold on.
When we come back, Top Fuel Eliminator round number 2. You're watching. And Saturday, Brittany Force's team, 51 minutes and 41 seconds after they started, has a clean run and Hemi again.
Well, and they had time. They can make the turnaround in much less time, but in a controlled environment, they're better off checking everything, making sure that everything's intact, everything's torqued properly. And right now, this is a visual inspection, but they are going to set the time of the engine, the generators, those are the magnetos on the car, as well as checking the engine RPM. Target typically on a nitro engine is 2,550 RPM.
Let's take a look at our second round matchups in Top Fuel. It really is, it is a moment. We certainly love to have our nice even fields. This weekend, an odd field is going to give him that shot into the final. We'll find out what they can dial up when they are back again. That car already headed back to the pits to be turned around as Antron Brown and Brittany Force make their way back to the starting line after burnouts. The Summit onboard camera here for Antron Brown, the Matco Tools Toyota. Hank Sturfer's top fueler. Jordan, you got more on the man who is taking on Brittany Force.
I talked to Antoine Brown about Brittany Force's 341 in the first, or 340 in the first round. He said, well, hey, we're not worried about miles per hour. We're only worried about ET, spoken like a true drag racer. We had to get there first and take a chunk. But honestly, this racetrack is so good that we might see a top speed for ourselves as well.
Yeah, look, I think he's not saying anything out of line there. The one thing you can't tell me is that number doesn't creep into the back of your mind at some point.
No, whatever they've done with the car, they righted the ship because he couldn't get close to that kind of performance in qualifying. They found the range, found the sweet spot. They're only 0.02 of a second outside of Brittany Force's performance.
Both cars snap off the starting line. Antron smokes the tires. Brittany smokes them late. Antron gave one futile pedal and was unable to get there. So Brittany Force will coast to a 4:14 at 2:02. Antron saw that momentary opportunity, but it was too late.
Oh, Brittany Force very good off the starting line, not just leaving with Antron Brown, but a couple of thousandths quicker. But this is what performance does. The tuners, the drivers, they can say all day, we don't pay attention to what they're doing. Yes, they do, because they pushed a little too hard because that car next to them runs 340 miles an hour. It does it effortlessly. It does it all the time. It makes big power. It makes big runs. And for that reason, they had to push a little too hard. And for that, the car just lost traction early in the run.
So for Antron, again, you saw that momentary pedal down there. These cars do accelerate so hard that had the car gripped, he had an outside, but maybe a minute chance to catch her. We will now determine who will meet up with Brittany Force in the semifinal round. Justin Ashley, no matter what was going to happen there. And here it comes, the Top Fuel final. We sat around here Friday night, Tony. We sat around here for a long day on Saturday, and the two of us kept looking at each other going, where's the performance? Where are the numbers? Where is it going to come from? And my goodness, starting at about 10:30 this morning, it came in droves, especially in this class.
Well, it really started that first qualifying session on Friday, but we were thrown off a bit by a lot of the cars that just missed the setup. But there were 3 cars that were geared up for those conditions, and 2 of them are right here on the starting line.
They are. The third, Doug Coletta, had a pretty good race day going for himself until he ran into Brittany Force. We see Sean Langdon, 21 career victories. Force with 18 career wins. A single Top Fuel championship for Langdon, 2 Top Fuel championships for Force. If she wins this race, Brittany Force will surpass Shirley Muldowney for the most Top Fuel wins by a female driver. Backing up to the starting line, tackling their way off. When I look at how Sean Langdon approaches this sport, Tony, he is a numbers guy, he is an analytical guy, he is a strategist. I have to believe he is going to treat this run like Justin Ashley sitting in the other lane. But first, let's go to Jordan.
I talked to crew chief for Sean Langdon, Brian Houston. I said, hey, your teammate Doug Coletta went 341 earlier. Do you have that in your packet? He said, well, possibly. I talked to AJ about the differences in our fuel system, and I made a little adjustments. The goal is to keep it on all 8 cylinders, and we'll see what numbers pop up on the board. Hopefully the win lights do too.
John Forrest looking on as his daughter gets ready to stage the fastest Top Fuel dragster in the history of the sport against one of the sport's greats. Langdon moved first. Does Langdon he's got the race car. Sean Langdon goes 3:66.2 and a punishing 337 miles an hour. A 50 reaction time, which is stellar by any measure, gets the win light over Brittany Force, whose car was faltering early.
Straight out of the edge. Why is the rabbit unafraid? Because he is smarter than the panther. And Sean Langdon just had that vibe. It seemed like since qualifying, we've asked him a lot of questions over the course of the weekend. He's thought about what he is going to say. It's just a level of confidence that a driver has with a team, with a tuner, and this team seems so reliable. While Doug was quicker, these guys just seem like they race a little bit better. There is a big upside to that kind of approach.